What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. We're on the Binance chart. I want to look at the index just because that's a more like kind of conglomerate price action. Yesterday, we did close at 105.7, almost $0.8 thousand. Today, Monday, the 9th of June, with 22 hours, 35 minutes left in the day, we're at about 105.7 as well right now. Looking like we want to move down. I doubt that we're going to move up. You guys know that I've been anticipating lower prices for, basically since we were back up here. We're expecting that we do go down. And then back over here, I was expecting that we'd find support around $101 to $102,000. But this drop going a little bit lower, just a little bit lower, man. I know it seems fickle, but this is technical analysis. Technicalities matter. From a low to a high, if you notice, the amount of space that you took below the 236 here, the amount of decay that you had or dropping that you had, I don't know what the proper word is, the distance that you went below this 236 is a little bit abnormal if you were looking to find support and go higher. Typically, with this kind of a move below the 236, it's actually indicative of an inevitable 382 bounce and recovery. So I think that's what we're going to do. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm assuming we go down to the 382, which is at about $95.8 thousand. Okay. And I think that the 236, we were expecting it to hold as support, and it did hold as support. In all fairness, it actually you closed right at it. Unfortunately, the amount of wick that we have below it just scares me a little bit. It shakes me up a little bit. And I mean, it is possible, don't get me wrong, this reaction that we had does give us a little bit of hope, a little bit of possibility, causality that we could find this as a low and continue to move up higher, but that's not my expectation. My expectation is we're finding a lower high right in this series of lower highs and lower lows. We're in this little channel here. We're probably going to reject. We look at the RSI and the daily price. If you look here, you can see that yesterday's closing price, it was right here, and this day's closing price was above it. So you have a lower high in the price while attaining a higher high in the RSI. Right. Also, you're at an area in the RSI where you do like to actually find resistance, but a higher high in the RSI means you're getting stronger results. You're showing more strength now here than you were back here. However, you have a weaker price here now than you did back here. So what's it mean whenever you're putting in more effort but getting less results? Is that a good thing? No, that's not a good thing at all. That's hidden bearish divergence is what that is. And if today closes red, we will validate that notion. We'll validate that we are getting some hidden bearish divergence. And that oftentimes does mark continuation of whatever trend you're in. This trend happens to be a downtrend. Continuation, lower high. What comes after a lower high? We continue to a lower low. That's the expectation here, right? That is, at least at the moment, the expectation. If we're looking at this on a 1 hour time frame, and I'll delete all the fibs and stuff. We look at the 1 hour time frame. The 1 hour RSI just can't get above the overbought zone. Like this doesn't count. This even doesn't count because you got up there and then you got out immediately, right? These are all rejections off the overbought zone, and it's not a good look. What you did with this just wasn't really impressive at all. All you did, you had a nice recovery, don't get me wrong, but no volume at all. No volume here, no volume at all. You're slowly rolling over. I've seen this happen so many times, you guys. I mean, look, we even had it right here, right? Look at this. Can you see it? Can you see how the price is slowly rolling over? Typically, whenever the price rolls over, you get a fast drop before it resolves itself. And we're doing it again here. I would expect we do see a fast drop probably today, Monday, Tuesday, even going into Wednesday. I think that between now and the end of this week, maybe even by the end of Wednesday, we will have our low, our next low. If that low is a lower low, which is what I'm expecting, then we would likely see, let's see, from a low here to a high there, we would at least expect the price to go below 100. Let me rephrase that. If we want to validate the idea that we see lower lows than this, you need to get hourly closes, daily closes below 102.7K. If you can close below 102.7K on a daily basis, I would think that that in itself validates this as a high and makes the case out that we're going to go lower than this low here. It makes it a lot stronger. If, however, we find support at the golden ratio, we can wick below 102.7K, but if we wick below it and then close above it and we bounce going into the following days that occur, we don't close below it for 2 days in a row or more, I would assume then that we are going to find a higher low and actually build from there, and my tone will change. It'll be very, very bullish. If you don't want to wait for that, then another way that we could turn bullish is if we close above about $106,000. If we can do that today and tomorrow, or just any 2 days in a row, I would immediately flip bullish. I would immediately start thinking about new all-time highs. I'm already thinking about new all-time highs, but first I'm thinking about a lower low, okay? Looking at the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour RSI also rejecting the overbought zone, right in an area that you like to find resistance, okay? Rejecting the overbought zone is not a good look, man. It really isn't. It looks to me, if we're looking at the 4-hour, it's like most of your life right now is below the 50. You're getting oversold, but you're not getting overbought. And here you're spending, it's like you're taking a breath of fresh air above the 50 and then getting back below to do the real work to the downside. I wonder too, if we see here, we have a higher high here as well, higher high in the RSI. Do we have a lower high in the price? We do. We've got a lower high in the price. Hidden bearish divergence. That's what that's called. Let's see what we're doing here from the all-time high all the way down to this relative low here. Going right above the 0.5, Bitcoin and other cryptos throughout this whole cycle have found significance on their 0.5. This time we went a little bit above that. I'll chalk that up to it being the weekend, right? Low volume, easier to move the price, harder for things to be respected, I suppose. But the fact that we moved up without any volume at all and we were moving down this whole way with volume, we're moving down. Anytime we move up, it's without volume. I mean, look at this, right? Moved down with volume. When we moved up, it was without volume. We move down, it was with volume. We move up, it's without volume. But when we start moving down, yes, there's volume. And when we start moving up, no, there's no volume at all. I wonder what's going to happen next. I don't really wonder because we've seen it before. We're going to see it again. You got a bearish engulfing candle here on the 4-hour time frame. And if we take this from a low to a high, the expectation would be to go somewhere, typically I would draw the 1272 to the 1618 as the primary target zone. That's what I would do. But in this scenario, I actually think we're going to go to the 1618 to the 200 level, something in here, if not even lower. We really could go lower. I'm not crazy bearish on Bitcoin. I'm just saying whenever it drops, whenever it gets bearish, sometimes crazy things happen. Maybe we do find support like right here, but we wick all the way to, you know what I mean? Like it can be pretty crazy. But that area there, that 1886200 area, Bitcoin and other cryptos have been respecting this area lately over the past month or two, and that lines up very, very well, with our 382. We take a low to a high here. Our 382, 95,800, it's literally just above this 1886. And it's absurdly common with the 382 whenever you come down on the first attempt to wick just below there. You wick just below and then you come back up and you close all in the same day. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Watch, it's going to happen exactly like this. We're going to wick below the 382, come back up and close above it. That's what's going to happen. If not, maybe we close below it on the first day and then we come back up and close above it the second day. Sometimes that happens too, but I would think 94.7 to 95.3, that's probably where we're going to go. At least 95.8, okay, or maybe I should say at least 96.8, somewhere where this area of prior resistance was right here in the price, right, something like that, but lower nonetheless. So what does that mean for the rest of crypto, right? There's no direct formula or equation for this, right? It's not a law, but typically a good rule of thumb is whatever percentage Bitcoin drops, you 2 to 3 times that for your altcoins, right? So here you are, and maybe not like the blue chips, maybe not the top 20 coins, but the top 100, the top 200, the top 300, 400, right? 9% drop in Bitcoin means an 18% drop across the board, if not more. So look at whatever altcoin you're looking to purchase, hold yourself back from purchasing it, and just wait for a nice little 20% drop or so, maybe 15 to 20% or more. You never know. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Buy your coins right now if you want to. I don't care. Just don't, and it's okay. It actually, even if you bought Bitcoin here or any other crypto right now today, and we get this drop, which is not guaranteed to happen. It's just my perspective. And I really do think it's going to happen probably over the coming days here, this week. If you buy here, that's okay. It's not ideal. Of course, you'd rather buy the low than buy the high. Buy at higher prices, of course. It's not buying the high even. But the thing is, what we have after this, whenever we start growing, is going to, it's just going to eclipse this entire move down. So if you buy here, as long as you don't sell the low, I think you're fine. Right? As long as you're buying and you're holding, you're fine. So, and that goes for any of the cryptos that you're investing in, hopefully. Again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I would just say as long as you're not buying high and selling low, you're fine. It's okay to buy high, wait for the low to resolve itself, and then it goes higher. Then you'll be in the green. This is crypto, man. Everybody who's got profits in crypto at one point was in the red. You know what I mean? That's how it is. And I don't care what project you have. Nobody times the market perfectly. I mean, some people do, but if that happens, it's like once in a while, right? The people, in other words, the people that bought the low here are probably not the same people that sold the top here. They might have sold the area, but it's not so easy. It's not so cut and dry. So it's okay to not buy at the right place as long as you don't sell at the wrong place. You know what I'm saying? going lower. That's the expectation. I don't really have anything else to say. People are questioning if this bull market's going to have any life to it or if we're going to see any kind of bullish stuff. And you guys, I think this market is primed for some of the most bullish stuff we've seen in crypto since 2017. Genuinely. Absolutely. I very much do believe we're going to see that. This market cycle is already looking to extend longer than any other cycle before it. And I wouldn't be surprised. My expectation for years now has been that Bitcoin would top off sometime in October to November of this year, September, October, November, specifically October of this year. And then altcoins will top a month after. But I'm starting to come around to the idea that we really might see this cycle extend into 2026. It's very, very possible. Instead of a left translated cycle, we might have a right translated cycle. You guys remember that? Do you remember that in the beginning of the cycle? Isn't it? And crypto does the opposite of what everybody says, right? Or whatever the herd mentality is, it does the opposite. The herd mentality in the beginning of the cycle, and I wasn't a part of this. I was one of the few people that actually, who has a YouTube channel, who was fighting this this narrative that we were going to go through a left translated bull cycle. People were saying we were moving too fast. That's just because we were at new all-time highs before the halving doesn't mean we were moving too fast. We had a shitty last cycle. It wasn't hard to surpass those highs. We actually moved up less, and we're pretty much on time with every other cycle that we've seen before. If anything, slower. I'm getting aside from myself here. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be ironic if instead of a left translated cycle, like everybody was calling for in the very beginning of this cycle, back in late 2022, early 2023, instead of a left translated bull cycle, what if we had a right translated bull cycle? What if that's what we're going through? And I think the way that we're set up right now, it's very much set up to be that. What does left translated or right translated mean? Essentially, effectively, shorter versus longer, right? Left translated means like imagine here's your timeline, right? You're moving through, and this is when it's expected to end, right here. If it's left translated, it's shorter. If it's right translated, it's longer. You know, like that. Just think of it like that. I don't know if that's exactly how it is, but that's how I think of it in my head. 105.6K now. We closed last week with a nice little bullish candle. I think it's going to psych people out potentially. Sometimes these candles are reliable. Sometimes they are not with these big wicks to the downside. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are not. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are not. And then they are. I don't know. My expectation is that we will see lower lows. Again, if we're looking to validate that, I would want to see prices below about 102,000, 102, was it 102.7 thousand on a daily closing basis? Either way, if we get below 101.7K on a daily closing basis, it's done, man. There's no way we get below $101.7 thousand on a daily closing basis. There's no way that we do that and we don't go to the 382 at least, okay? My expectation is not only will we see 95.8K, but we'll probably go a little bit below there. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves, all right? Bye-bye.